Hey, it's a Wolf, and in this video we're going to work on moving the centers of our village. So I happen to know that this block here, with this bed here, is the center of this village, but I want to move it till it's at 0, 0, which is that one. Yep. So let's mark it with glowstone. Is that it? Yep, that's it. Okay, so we want to move. Show you on the tool. So the problem is we have this one here goes from -28 to 40, and I want it for later videos. Sorry, this one here, -38 to 26, as well as that one. But I want this one to go back to where it was originally, which was -32, 32, and -32, 32. Reason being, I want it to line up with the other one, because of reasons. So we want this to become the center of the village instead of this. So what we don't want to do, particularly because we've got another village so close by, so if you haven't seen the video, at this point here we have we've put the two villages together. So these are two separate villages, and this is the border between them, so the borders touch. So we cannot right now, if we were to break all these beds and put down a new bed, then the two villages would combine. What we want to do is put down this bed here. He's linking to that. And then we want to break, and I'm doing this in a survival friendly way, so we want to break all the beds except this one here. Now, because I'm wanting to control it even further, and ordinarily, realistically, I should have done that before. Come on, move out of the way. But this will be a good example if you do make a mistake. So to do a bed tower, you have to start at the top, which is what I forgot. So that's there. Clear that just so that we don't forget. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one down under the ground, 5. So we can put this bed in. This one. Oops, we can't do that one. We'll clear out this one, and that'll be okay. Why did I do that? Didn't need to clear that one out. That will be okay because we have shifted. We already had another bed in place for it to go to. Okay, so now we have our 5 beds, and let's go check the tool. So this village here now goes from -32, 32 to -32 to 40. And the reason why it goes to 40 instead of 32 is because we shifted the center. We shifted the border. We have successfully shifted the center of the village to here. If we want to shift out the borders, I find the most reliable way is to use these looms, or not looms, any workstation, and move it out as we did here. What I'm going to do, though, is change the border back to 32 simply by breaking these. And by breaking these, it will automatically reset back to 32 because there's nothing outside the border. And indeed, we have a -32 to 32, -32, 32. And then this village here has stayed where it was, 41, 105. So we've shifted the center to this block here. If we want to shift this entire village so that the border now borders on this one here, then we just do it the way that I did in the previous video, and then we'll have two villages normal size, 64 by 64, smack bang against each other. If you do want to, so this is to shift it within a 64, if you do want to shift it selectively, you would just move these workstations. I'll show you doing that just for completeness of this video. But if you've seen it in the other video, how to extend the borders, then you'll know. So what I'm going to do, this block here is 40, and it will be interesting to see whether I can get back there actually. So I want to, let's say for example, I want to move the border to this block here. Now I could move the beds down here. That's one way of doing it, and I'll show that in a second. The other way is to move this border out, and if you move it out, then half the blocks that you move is how far the center will move. So in this instance, if I was to move the border out 8 blocks this way, I'm not changing this border here. If I move it out 8 blocks this way, then the center will move 4 blocks this way. 8 divided by 4, 2. Let's do that first. So when we have a situation like this where the borders are so close to each other, we can't actually extend this border any further. I'm not quite sure what the range is, but watch what happens if I do this. So got this butcher, comes in here. Let's put another one here to get the other butcher. So now that we have these two here, we can't actually extend the border straight along through the center. I can do it in a different way, but watch this, if we were to put this one here, you see this guy here has seen it and he's trying to get to it. So what is happening is it's being attached to this village here. I think simply because this one has a stretched border, and so it assumes that we want to continue stretching the border. So what I typically do to get around that, let's just make a space for our villages, and you can get around it if you so choose. What we're going to have to do is shift the center this way and go around the outside. So we're going to have to shift this way first. We have these two here, and just to make my life easier, let's keep them here so they don't run away, because villagers like to village. And he's already gone. So now we can walk this out, shift it this way. So we've shifted the side of the village across to here, and now we should be able to walk this up around the outside of the border. No, wrong person. So it seems like we're a little bit too close to the border there. It is, it's causing the border, it's causing the villages over this side to connect here. So we can push this border out a little bit further. Let's see if we can, are we far enough away? Yes, looks like we are. So we're far enough outside the border of that village there that we can sneak around. And we want to get it to here. And now we will have two of them with the borders touching. We can put this one back here because we've already got it to that point there. that villager over there should connect to it, and does. So now, see how so the border of this village here was in line with here. We had to go out, yeah, I reckon 10 blocks around the outside. Now that we've got that one in place, we can get rid of this. So let's have a look what that has done to the center of our village. So we changed that 3232 and 3240. So we have moved the center. We've moved the border by 8. So it's negative 32 to 40 because we didn't move the back. So that has moved the center of the village without touching the beds. That's moved the center of the village to 04, which is where this villager is standing. So if you're noticing that the wrong villagers are connecting as you're pushing the borders around, you can go outside the borders and you can extend it as far as you want this way. Just keep going until you can push the borders. So that is how you move the center of the village using those two methods. Now, because we have pushed the border this way by 8, we can actually move the center of the village in by 8 simply by shifting the beds over to here. So if we were to build our bed tower here, now if we do this, then the center of our village will have changed. So now, before it was negative 32 to 40, now it's negative 28 to 40, which brings us back to a 64. So now we know that the center of the village is here, and you can do this in survival. If you manipulate the borders, then you're going to be a lot more sure of where the center is. And if you manipulate the borders, instead of the center of the village changing based on beds, you can, if you make a larger village, then it's a lot less dependent on where the beds are. So we saw that the center of the village shifted without the beds by moving the borders, or we can shift the center of the village by shifting the beds. Obviously, put the bed in before you destroy the bed. So that is shifting the center of a village in a nutshell. Hope you found this one useful, and I will see you in the next one.